Okay, what I've done here is I've got my profile inside the midplane, and I've stepped back from it. I've looked at it. I've looked at this thing up in here. I've looked at it again and said, does that look like that thing in perspective? I think it looks pretty good, so I'm going to go with it. I've also put this line in here. There's two lines in here that are a structural division for my light, where the top piece sort of connects to the bottom piece. There's a slot there. That's important to me structurally. So I put that in there. Even though, well, that's going to end up being out here at the edge of it, and the other one's going to be over here on the other edge where I can't see it. It's still nevertheless an important landmark. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to draw my mid-plane going in the opposite direction. In other words, the cross mid-plane. I'm going to hold this thing up there. I was thinking about doing this before, but I think that doing it now is going to make it make more sense than if I had drawn it before doing the profile. That's when I changed my mind and decided I was going to do it later. That's got to come even farther. Holding this thing up there, does it make sense with my other lines? Does it look like it's going off to the same vanishing point? I'm going to step back and take a look at it. Are these two a little parallel? And is that converging a little bit quickly with that? I think it might be. It feels like it's converging more with this one than it is with that one. So I might just back it off a little. It has to pivot through that center point though. So I'm going to try it again. It's got to come a little bit more this way. Hold it up there. It needs to feel like it's converging equally with both those two lines. There's nothing like stepping back from it to let me see that. I don't know if you can see this, but I'm a good, at least 1/8 of an inch off from where I was before, and it looks better. In fact, I might just extend this out. Come on, Slaw. That was my first line that I extended out. Come on, come on, come on. Erase old bad lines. They're just a bummer, old bad lines. Get rid of them. They'll mess you up. Okay. Get rid of the old bad lines. Now I'm bringing back this front edge a little so I can start to see the outside of my box. I erased some of that so that I could draw that midplane. Okay, so this comes over here at this point now, and at this point over there. I have to go really carefully here, because as I draw around the box, I can get off. Things can get off. I'm looking at that line, but I'm looking at this line too. I'm looking at every line that I've drawn out there, and this has got to make sense with all of them. All of them that are going up there to my Z vanishing point here. Tweak it over, hold your ruler up on edge. Where does it stop? It stops here. Whoops, right there. And if I've done everything right, when I draw these two lines, it ought to do everything that I want it to do. Everything that I want it to do means it's got to, it's going to start here, go through that point, and hit there, and it'll be also parallel, not parallel, but converging in a way that makes sense with my other lines. Please God, please God. It doesn't always do it. You might have to come back and fix it and fix it and fix it. In this case, hooray, it actually worked out pretty well. All right, so now I've got crisscross action going on in here that might confuse me with this new plane. Got a lot of lines here. Maybe I'll start to lose some of the ones I don't need anymore. Take them down to ghost image. Maybe I'll need them again. I don't know. But I'm going to lose those diagonals from my profile plane. Just get them out of the way. They served me well because it showed me where my profile would cross them. But I don't want them to confuse me here, because I got to draw new diagonals for this plane. Okay, so these diagonals ideally are going to come right through that point as they go from one corner to one corner. Come on, buddy. Please be nice to me. If they don't, see if you can figure out where your problem was. If they're slightly off, that's probably not a deal breaker. If they are a little bit off, where can I slightly tweak that? I didn't say fudge it, but I want that to be as close to that as possible. Now we're drawing things off there, trying to find, where they are. So if like my vanishing points are off the page. So if some things start to slide around a little bit, I got to figure out what can I do to change that. In other words, reconcile it, right? Reconcile it. Realize that the thickness of a line here, the thickness of even a point here, can make a difference to where your line is going. So figure that out. I've got the center here. I've got a crisscross. I've got this one, crossing down this way, right? And I want them all to do that in the same point. When I first drew the line, I was about 1/16 of an inch off. So I moved around a little bit to see where, again, robbing Peter to pay Paul, I could figure that point out. Poor Peter. He can't have any more money left at this point. Can he? Surely it's all gone. All right. Can you see my midplane this way? Crisscross. Crisscross. I got a lot of lines in there. I don't want to get screwed up with them. But now I got to look at this. Okay? I've got to look at this study that's this way. Now, the way that my study is that I've got one of these oval shapes here, which is, fairly elliptical, that's down low. That's this one right here. And then I've got another one that's up here high. And I drew it lighter here so I could see that. That's the way that it is here. It's up here. Over here, it's slipped down some. It's the way that that light does that. It comes straight, 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 and then it angles down. So I've got to draw that shape that's in there, chop, 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 in this rectangle. Okay? I got to figure out, where does it touch? Well, the place that it touches is, where this thing is. So I'm going to actually come out from here and find on both sides, I'm projecting out from that point. You actually need to go up a little bit higher than that. Skosh higher. Step back from it. Does it look like it's converging? I think it's okay. This one here. All right, so the deal is I've got to have this curve come out here. I'm going to look at that negative shape. Where does it cross the diagonal? It crosses about right there. Where does it stop touching? It stops touching right about here and starts to make its way down. You know what? It's not quite that far. It's more up here. And it touches the outside right about here, because that's where this thing is. Actually, I think that needs to come more like this. Okay, that's half of my thing. Down here, where this crosses my line, can you see that? That point? That crosses my mid line right there. That's where this thing comes out. So here's where I've got my little, like the end of this thing, the end of the top, sort of stops right there. This point where it crosses the diagonal, it has to cross the diagonal at the same place on the other side. So I'm going to bring that over and find that point. It gives me one extra point over here. Why are you drawing that, Brad? You're not even going to be able to see that. they asked. The thing is, I may not be able to see that, but it's going to nevertheless potentially affect my object. The part that I can't see very frequently affects the part that I can see. This video is getting long, and I hate for them to get too long because they take forever to upload. So I'm going to pause this